and welcome to For the Love of Nature, a podcast where we tell you everything you need to know about nature and probably more than you wanted to know. I'm Laura.
And I'm Katy, and today we're going to talk about how there are plenty of misconceptions about the animal kingdom, and we're here to bust them all. Or as Laura says, she loves busting dreams. so we're each picked a couple topics on some common animal misconceptions, and then we're going to tell you about how they're very much so not true. Or one of mine is like, people say it and they don't quite mean it as literal as I think. Some people take it very literally, some people don't. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just glad to not be back, but have more normalcy.
Yes,
so,
Laura's been moving.
Yeah, no fun. I mean, it's exciting, but not fun.
Yeah. Busyness.
Busy.
There's been so much happening in the news recently. First of all, Hawaii's the whole waterfront was burned to the ground, which is
I heard people were literally jumping into the ocean to escape.
Yeah, which is just so sad. And that was hurricanes and down power lines, I guess, is what started all that.
We were having tornadoes here in Maryland just last week.
Oh, really? Dang, I didn't see that.
Crazy storms. I was on the highway. They were like, there's going to be 70-mile-an-hour winds, which is not normal for this area.
Yeah, no, not for you guys. For here, we get it quite often. We're still having wildfires down here in Texas, just the grass. It's so dry down here.
Yeah, it's just
First of all, I can't tell you. I do not remember the last time it rained, but it's so bad that even a spark on the road will. And so people who flick their cigarette butts out the window, and that's what starts them all. And it's just hot.
I figured it was probably all the sparks coming off all the spurs that you guys must wear down there,
right? Yeah, just clinking around. Ding, 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 ding. All
wildfire.
Yeah. That's amazing. Oh, that's amazing. But yeah, just constant wildfires. And I feel like there was something else that I wanted to talk about that was...
You did. You were like, Laura, this is totally nature news.
Yeah, let me see if I can scan back through our messages. Oh, but I do want to say, we've talked about a few episodes ago about the Curiosity Network, my side company.
And its launch.
Yes, and its launch and everything. But I did want to say now for the podcast, we have our own domain. And so if you go to thenaturepodcast.com, you'll see a little bio, and then it has a link to our store and all of our merch and everything with the booby mug that everybody needs to get.
People are like, wait, booby mug?
Yeah, go
birds,
look at
guys,
it.
Birds.
Yeah, birds. But still, go look at it. So thenaturepodcast.com, and that's specifically for this podcast. So the nature news that I had found is all about flying ticks, which we've talked about.
As if the world wasn't terrible enough right now.
Flying ticks. Dude, aliens. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's affirmed now.
Yes,
right?
Yes, they have actually, flying ticks, aliens. I told you, all kinds of stuff is happening right now in the nature world. Aliens, we have said, yes, 100%. They are true.
Because it's more than UFOs now.
Yes, aliens, actual aliens. Bodies, dude.
I told the middle schoolers I was teaching today, I was like, oh yeah, aliens. And they were like, wait, what?
Yes.
And I was
nobody's
literally the government
panicking.
just said there's aliens.
Yes.
I'm dying though at all of the videos of millennials learning about aliens where it's just yeah, but are they going to pay our rent?
Yeah.
No? Okay, then I don't care.
Or the ones that are offering to go up there first to be the dating pool here is kind of crappy.
It's all we're all so cynical. There's aliens and...
Yeah, right. Tell me something worse. We've been through much worse.
I said that Earth must be the biggest ball of yarn kind of stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've got to be since we haven't been taken out before now.
Yes.
Then we must be just a weird tourist stop.
Well, and also too, I heard the analogy that people were like, oh, well, why haven't they just come down here and talked? And they're like, why would people talk to ants?
Right.
It's the same concept.
We're so unevolved compared to them.
Yeah. Why the heck
like
with
cockroaches?
It? Yeah. I hope.
I mean, I would talk to an ant.
Oh, but
most people.
And
most
so,
aliens, I guess not.
So probably the ones that are flying down here are the ADHD ones that are like,
Or the naturalists.
Yeah, or the naturalists.
They're just coming down to study us.
Yeah, to check it out. And the flying ticks to get us back what we originally talked about. Yeah, originally the thought was that a tick would just be on a blade of grass. You walk by it. Bloop.
Yeah, and we talked about them questing, which I just love that. Questing.
It says the good news about all of this is that ticks can't actually fly across the backyard to find you. So there's not like an actual house fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't jump.
Correct. But before the new study, we thought that deer, dog, mouse, human had to actually make physical contact for the tick to latch on. Lab experiments showed us otherwise, though, because with enough static electric charge, ticks were observed, good Lord, shooting across distances ranging from several millimeters to several centimeters. Even wilder, some of the tests show that the static electricity was enough to make the ticks levitate off of a tile and into the air towards their target.
That's wild.
So they're flying.
They're just like magnetic.
Yeah, well, it's like a static charge. So instead of, the static charge of your hair sticking straight up, it's the tick that's just riding that charge.
It's like bees and their pollen.
Yeah. So anyway, flying ticks. That
Lovely.
Freaking sucks. Yeah. Just aliens, flying ticks.
Get me out.
It just keeps getting worse. The other thing that we need to talk about news-wise is we're going to be starting, we haven't thought of a name for it, but coming up, we're going to do a mini series within this season. So we're in the football season, starting up here in a few weeks here. Well, we're in preseason right now. And even though Laura knows nothing about football, she knows a lot about... I was
going to say, I didn't even know football started soon.
It did. It does. We're in it. We're in preseason right now.
Laura doesn't sport.
But we do know somebody who is pretty knowledgeable about football. And so we are going to talk. We're going to do 10-minute little segments on Saturday for college football, Sunday for NFL. And while that guy is going to talk from the football perspective of who should win, the top game or two of the day, Laura and I were going to do kind of like an animal face-off side. So if their mascots, if their mascots were fighting, this is who would win. And I have a good friend who he said that, what did he say? Hold on, let me pull up the text. He said a few years ago, he did this with he did his entire March Madness bracket based on this concept, and he came in fourth.
Hey.
Think, Animal Face Off, that show that was on Animal Planet however many years ago, where they put two animals together who would win kind of thing. And we're just going to do it with football mascots.
What if they're not? Like, what if who plays it doesn't have an animal mascot?
Oh, dude, I already have so many good ones paired up. I don't want to spoil anything because it was the guy that is coming on to do the football side of it. This was his idea. He's like, we just need the animal side. And he doesn't know anything about that. I know enough about football, but not to make predictions or whatever. And so that's where he's like, we have to do this together kind of thing. But I think it's going to be funny. And so when I was telling other people, getting ideas for what we could call the series and everything, I started giving folks examples. And they figured it was going to be funny because it's you and me. But then I started giving them examples and they're like, that is not where I saw that going at all. I'm like, of course it's not, because it's us and it's our podcast. And no one ever knows where this is going. So
left turn.
Yeah, right. All the time. So it's still going to be nature related. We're just tying in football and everything to that. So aliens, flying, static charge ticks, football mini series coming up.
Cool.
Craziness.
All right. Now let's blow some minds and break some misconceptions.
Yeah, right. All right.
Okay. First animal misconception: bears sleep all winter.
Oh, nice one.
Okay. So at least in the upper northern hemisphere, we grow up learning that bears hibernate. And we're talking black bears, brown bears, and polar bears.
Yeah.
Any of our listeners in other parts of the world, your bears don't hibernate. So you probably didn't learn that. But the rest of us did.
Yeah, because I grew up thinking that was just a bear thing. It is not just a bear thing. Yeah. It's just our bears
not even,
do that
right.
thing.
Not just a bear thing and not even a real thing. Bears don't sleep. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
So do they really sleep all winter, or do they even really hibernate? This is actually a debated topic. You might not think so, but... over here in the bear world. So traditionally, true hibernation is a state of dormancy or rest with the following factors. 1, it should only be used for warm-blooded animals. Okay, so reptiles and amphibians, insects, they don't hibernate.
That's
brumate or estivate or something, torpor, some kind of. Hibernation should only be used for during winter. Hibernation should only be used for when the animal has greatly reduced metabolic activity, when they lower their body temperature, typically close to that of the environment. Okay, so here's some examples. So A ground squirrel, their temperature is normally 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But when they hibernate over winter, their body temperature drops to 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
Holy crap.
So they just freeze, but they don't freeze. That's the cool part.
I mean, I knew it dropped, but I never thought to
just outside temperature or a little higher. Like
that's
they can
insane. I never thought to look to see what their actual body temperatures. That is wild.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. Their heart rate lowers. They're incapable of activity until they warm up.
I mean, yeah.
Just frozen. They have extensive and complex physiological changes to turn basically from a warm-blooded animal into a cold-blooded animal. Because that's essentially what's going on when you're hibernating. And there is a super narrow line between life and death when you're hibernating.
I believe it.
Because the body's only doing bare minimum and nothing else. Typically, their bones and teeth even deteriorate.
Oh my gosh.
Because their cells are just like, nope, life support only. Jeez. It's extremely stressful on their tissues. They have a massive weight loss, and apparently it's a big gamble, and you actually might not even wake up. Apparently a lot of animals don't wake up from hibernation, which I didn't know that either.
No.
I was like, well, why is this a thing? But yeah, so that is technically the definition for true hibernation. And that's things for animals like bats, most rodents, hedgehogs, and a couple of other things. So here's where it gets tricky with bears. So bears are not true hibernators under that definition because their body temperature doesn't lower significantly. So a bear's body temperature is also normally 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But when they're hibernating, it really only drops to 88 at the lowest. Okay, so it's a 12-degree drop, but it's not crazy. It's nowhere near outside air temperature, which means that the bear is always pretty warm and can be roused to activity fairly easily. And this also makes sense because this is when mom bears have their babies, and they can't be like icicle bears to have a baby. And their babies need to be warm. So
just like shoot out like an ice cube.
Just ice cube tray. Like
as an image.
Yeah. However, many scientists do now consider them super hibernators. Okay, so they aren't true hibernators, but they're super hibernators. As they can slow down even without the body temperature. So here's what actually happens to bears. They do sleep a really long time. Do they sleep all through the winter? No, that is the misconception.
Okay.
But they can sleep for a really long time, even up to 100 days.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's still significant. Yeah.
I mean, not always, but they could.
Yeah.
Without eating, drinking, or going to the bathroom. And they have some pretty amazing adaptations to allow them to do this. My mind was exploding the other night when I was researching this because this is crazy and has some really cool applications for humans if we can figure this out. So they can shut off the genes that would begin to break down their bones. So other animals, their bones and teeth are just deteriorating. Bears are like, no, I need those. So don't shut those off. They slow down their breathing and heart rate 75%. So they're breathing like once every 45 seconds, I think it said.
Dang.
Metabolic rate cut by 50 to 60%. Lose 15 to 40% of their body weight. They recycle their body waste. So they don't pee. They actually recycle that. Your pee is made from nitrogen, okay? They recycle that nitrogen. And they actually get more ripped during hibernation because they use that nitrogen to make muscle while they're sleeping.
Oh my, yeah.
Like, the dream. I never have to work out, just literally sleep to work out. That's incredible. They don't poop. It's just all recycled. They produce a protein to prevent their blood from clotting, from not moving so much.
Oh, interesting.
And their cholesterol doubles, but doesn't kill them. And they have their neurons in their brain get surrounded by these proteins, which is actually the same thing that happens in Alzheimer's and dementia patients. But unlike in humans, they just keep building. But the bear, when they wake up, just flushes the system and starts fresh. So if we could figure out how to do that, major progress.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Some of these adaptations could have significant medical benefits if we could figure out how to apply them to humans. Even though a bear might sleep for months without waking up, it does not mean that they can't or don't wake up during the winter. They move around a lot in their den to find new positions, just like you guys do when you're sleeping. Can you imagine being stuck in one position for 100 days? You'd be so freaking sore.
Right?
So they move around. They have babies, which they wake up for. It's not like they just wake up and they're like, oh my gosh, I just had a baby. They have to let their babies suckle. They can come out during nice weather. If it's a nice warm day, they can just come out and have a walkabout.
Yeah.
And they can be woken up fairly easily due to danger, bad weather, or other emergencies. So
what's a bear emergency?
I don't know.
Like what
was my picnic basket? I don't know.
Bear emergency.
There's a bear emergency. Like if you pick up like those ground squirrels we were saying, if you pick up a ground squirrel, it actually can't wake up when you pick it up. It could start to wake up, but it's not going to wake up.
Man.
Whereas if you crawl into a bear den,
it's going to wake up.
It's going to be awake.
Yeah. Dang.
It's not that asleep, which is good. It's good for the bear. Why bother doing any of this? The last thing, hibernation, of course, is about saving energy when there's bad times.
Yeah.
But the reason why bears are doing it this way is probably that it saves energy without the stress of real hibernation. If you're a little animal, it's not such a big deal. Let's say you have cool way down. To warm back up, you don't actually have to burn that many calories.
Yeah. Yeah. For a bear though.
It said for a bear to go up from like 40 degrees back up to temperature.
But could you imagine how
cold?
Yeah,
so cold.
But also if a bear was like that.
Well, it said it would have to burn as many calories as a bear needs to eat in an entire day.
That's insane.
It would be worth the energy expenditure.
But you could walk in there and kick a bear, and you know what I mean? Like it would be
right, like if they were like frozen.
Yes, like
just go in there and take selfies.
Yeah, right. With all these bears, because they're just like a hump, like pretty much a bearsicle. Like at that point, oh my goodness.
But yeah, so bears do not sleep all winter, although they are super hibernators.
That's cool. Interesting. Yeah, and like you were saying, the cool part about all that is if we could figure some of that stuff out, like, it could have really cool...
Oh my gosh, the blood clotting thing alone.
Yeah, right?
For people who have to be in bed all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, Alzheimer's and dementia. We've been trying to crack that stuff forever.
Yeah, for a long time.
And yeah, boy, I sure would like to make muscle while I sleep.
Yeah.
And not have to wake up to pee.
Right? Goodness.
Some animals have all the luck. Bears have a pretty freaking sweet life.
They do. I mean, mine is,
Besides, like, being human persecution.
Yeah.
If we weren't in the picture, sweet gig.
Persecution.
Well, come on. Like, that's what it is.
That's the bear emergency, is human persecution.
Persecution. They just have, like, a, what's it, like, for, like a help button.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Alrighty. Well, the first animal misconception that I'm going to talk about is the misconception of lone wolves. Because unlike what
everybody's always talking about that.
Yeah, unlike what popular culture will tell you, there technically is no such thing as a true lone wolf. And I'll get into that in a little bit here. So in psychology and sociology, the term for humans, lone wolf, is often associated with individuals who exhibit antisocial or extreme introverted tendencies, preferring complete solitude and independence over social interactions.
Isn't that in, what's that movie? Where they go to Vegas. It's like they don't remember what's that. The Hangover.
Oh, The Hangover?
Doesn't he talk about how he's a lone wolf or something like that?
I don't remember. I'd have to go. I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Me neither.
Jeez. So those human individuals might choose to work, live, or pursue activities on their own, often valuing their autonomy and self-reliance. There was the term that's kicked around, sigma male, because you have alpha male, beta, sigma male. And
we kind of talked about wolf pack structure
in one of the episodes.
Like really recently.
You did for something, yeah.
It was for the Jungle Book.
Oh, yeah. It was Jungle Book. So Sigma male, we didn't talk about that then, but Sigma male is one made up by just like some random dude. Like, because alpha and beta males.
They like the concept.
Yeah, and alpha and beta males, those were and have been within scientific research terms that we use.
I remember we were just talking about, that it's not as clear cut as we all think.
No, it's not as clear cut. But the whole Sigma male thing was like the lone wolf attitude. The alpha male is like the outgoing one, where the sigma male is, I don't want to conform to social norms. I like being off by myself. And
it's just a wolf that's like got really shaggy hair that keeps just
flipping its hair out of the way.
I don't conform to social norms. I'm out.
So in both the situation of wolves and humans, when people often say lone wolf, it's a person who does it by themselves, not really a lot of support from others, if any support, and prefers their solitude. However, that's not really the case for humans or for wolves. So now let's talk about wolves here. While the term lone wolf might suggest permanent isolation, it is important to recognize that wolves, as inherently social animals, hence wolf packs, exhibit temporary periods of solitude due to a variety of factors. All right, so let's take one quick step back too. So wolves, they're highly adaptable and intelligent carnivores. They're renowned for their intricate social structures centered around packs. These packs consisting of closely related individuals led by one alpha male and female. They collaborate in hunting, rearing of young, maintaining territory. They're very skilled predators. Wolves exhibit strong family bonds and engage in collective pup rearing. Despite past challenges, conservation efforts had led to a lot of groups, population recovery in some regions, which that's a whole other, that could be an episode in itself, is just human-animal conflict. So wolves are well known for their complex pack structures and social behaviors. The notion of a lone wolf often gives the image of a solitary animal living in complete isolation. However, if we really look at it, there's really no such thing as a lone wolf, because it's more what we see as a quote-unquote lone wolf is more like a wolf in transition.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just going from one place to the other.
Yeah, or for one
like
reason.
One pack.
Yeah, or for one reason or another. So some of the different reasons, dispersal is one of the primary reasons behind wolves spending alone time, and that's just a natural process where the young wolves leave their natal pack to establish their own territories and seek potential mates. So during this phase, often referred to as dispersal period, wolves may roam alone, or some do form small groups with fellow dispersers. And these wolves are not true lone wolves, but rather just individuals in pursuit of doing their own thing for a little bit because they need to find their own niche.
Right. Their goal isn't to be alone. Their goal is actually to find more.
Yes. And that's why they're going by themselves. So yes, we as humans might actually see them by themselves. And there's been quite a few. There was that one black wolf that was really famous, and everyone's like, it's a lone wolf, but meanwhile it had its pack and everything. It was just got famous whenever it was in this transition period, and everybody jumped on it, and then you're just like, no, it has its whole pack now. There's also age-related solitude. So as wolves age, they get older. Shifts in pack dynamics can lead to temporary periods of solitude. Older wolves who are unable to compete within their pack's hierarchy may spend more time alone. So I mean, they could be kind of on the outskirts. They're not the alpha anymore, but they're too old to really go off. So I don't want to say it's like the crazy grandpa that's hanging around, but I don't know how else to describe it. Again, it's not complete departure, but they just hang around on the outskirts. Another reason why you might see wolves alone is adapting to injury or illness. And so wolves that are injured or sick, they may temporarily separate themselves from the pack to recover because they can't either walk or whatnot, and then they'll catch up later. Or if they have an illness and they know that they're sick, they'll go off by themselves and spend some time alone. But they still need to hunt. They still need to eat and everything like that. So you could see them alone from that. Another one too, again, we already mentioned this one, searching for a mate. Wolves in search of a mate may spend time alone until they find a suitable partner to establish a new pack with. This period of solitude is a critical phase in the formation of the new pack because, again, they mate for life typically. And so this highlights the social nature of wolves, even in the midst of they want to seek that autonomy. This is the last one. Temporary disruptions within a pack, such as the death or absence of key pack members, can actually lead wolves to spending time alone until the pack's social structure stabilizes again.
Or just like family chaos.
Yeah, family chaos. So the whole pack may disperse for a little bit before they figure out who's the new alpha couple or male, whatever. So then once that chaos settles, then they'll circle back up. So the concept of lone wolves among wolf populations is more accurately understood as wolves in transition, experiencing just temporary periods of solitude driven by dispersal or one of the other factors that I read. Now, the social nature of wolves remains a constant thread, even as individual wolves navigate through those transitional phases. So similarly, humans, although most of the male, they like to say that they're lone wolves, prefer to not admit that they need others. And the reality is that they do. Just like wolves, it only makes sense to stay in a pack for survival. That's why wolves do it. The animals that are truly solitary, they still come together to mate, but there's nothing else out there. You think of like clouded leopard and things like that.
Yeah. Well, and they have their own adaptations that they don't hunt socially and like.
Yes. Yeah. Whereas wolves have to hunt socially. But the same thing with humans. The truth of the matter is, we as humans, we're hardwired to belong. Now, again, that doesn't mean that you need a pack of 100 people. It could be your small pack, but you still need people.
Well, and even if it wasn't like a mental or emotional at this point, we're tied together.
Yeah.
Just like wolves, they hunt to survive together.
Yeah.
It's very hard to live off the grid completely.
Yes. Yeah. Because you're going to need stuff somewhere.
Supplies.
Somewhere. Yeah. And then you rely on other people for that. Again, the notion of lone wolf, everybody kind of prides themselves on, oh, I'm a lone wolf. Nah, there's no such thing as a lone wolf. You're wrong.
Such thing. Cool. Well, my other one is one that we talked a lot about at the zoo, and it is that chameleons can blend into their surroundings.
Ooh, okay.
So, busting this one, we've likely all seen some movie where there was a chameleon that could change colors to blend into their surroundings, making them
polka dots, all kinds of crazy
That's what I was like, plaid,
right.
just crazy stuff. But even just plain old green or something, just to blend in. Of course, chameleons are going to have some natural camouflage. Most animals do. They need to be able to hide in the foliage from both predators and the prey that they eat, like the insects. And they could be a combination of greens, browns, yellows, cream, and some even have more vivid colors like reds and blues, but in moderation.
Yeah.
And technically, sure, sometimes they might lighten or darken in response to how much light is present in the environment, but not really to blend in. Not to blend into the colors. More to blend into the light.
Yeah.
The color change is nothing to do with that. Why are they changing? They think probably mostly two reasons. One is to regulate body temperature. So chameleons are cold-blooded animals. They're a lizard. So they can't create their own body heat. So they turn darker to absorb more heat, and they turn pale to reflect more and cool down. So it's just their own way of keeping themselves cool, which is pretty convenient, actually.
Yeah.
Because most reptiles can't just change color to get warmer or cooler. They have to actually physically move. Chameleons are just lazy.
Yeah, right. That's like, really the adaptation. They just figured out how to be lazier.
The other reason, and probably the biggest reason, is communication. So males display to show dominance, and that's really where you're going to get the bright colors. The reds and the blues, they're just going to explode with color when they're trying to talk to each other and show off. Females change a teeny bit to show that they're ready to breed. All of them kind of change colors when they're scared or aggressive. They usually turn like dark color. And males are the ones that change color the most, females less so. It's easier to think about a chameleon as a mood ring. For our listeners who are old enough to know what mood rings are.
All of our millennial listeners know what that is. Anybody younger is like weirdos.
Right. And again, is it human anger? No. But fear, aggression, those kinds of things, their emotions are dictating what colors they're changing. But how do they change? This is fascinating because this is actually not that long ago. So scientists used to think that they change color like an octopus, which is using pigments within the skin that they would basically expand and contract those pigments.
Yes. Yeah.
But actually, they just discovered 8 years ago that it is not just that, or at least not that mostly. It's actually mostly the fact that they have these pigments in their skin called iridophores. So think like iridation. These cells contain nanocrystals that reflect light.
That's cool.
So Yeah. So what happens is when their skin gets tight, these crystals change shape and reflect different wavelengths.
That's cool.
So think about if a chameleon gets agitated, its skin gets tight. The nanocrystals are stretched far apart and they reflect longer wavelengths such as the yellows and the reds. And so they have precise control over these different cells in their bodies and can stretch and contract their skin in different places.
Also, can you imagine we could do that where you're pissed off?
Yeah.
Just all the time. I'm just so bad.
I mean, we do turn red when we do that, but it's not for the same reason.
That would be funny.
Yeah. And so the reason why females and younger males don't change color so much is because they have less iridophores in their skin. They don't need to change color so much because they're not showing off, but they just can't do it as much. Yes, chameleons change color, but they do not change color to blend in their surroundings, and certainly not to the extent that they show us in movies.
Yeah. Jeez Louise. Alrighty. Is that all you have for chameleons?
Mm-hmm.
That was neat. I still wish we could do that. Alrighty. So the second misconception that I'm going to debunk, I might catch some heat for because it calls out one of my favorite shows, Ted Lasso. And I'm going to talk about the cognitive abilities of goldfish and how they do not have short-term memory whatsoever. It's quite the opposite.
That is a huge misconception.
Yeah, huge misconception. So there's a popular belief that goldfish possess just a fleeting memory span akin to a mere
dumb fish.
Yeah, a few seconds. Just few seconds long. Or as Ted Lasso tells his players, 10 seconds, and that's why they're the happiest creatures on Earth.
Those are two big misconceptions right there.
Right. First of all, not the happiest.
Pretty anthropomorphic of us to assume that goldfish are the happiest thing on Earth.
Did you interview that goldfish? No.
Well, just of all the animals that seem happy,
a goldfish.
Have you
because
it doesn't remember faces?
Yeah, half the time they're like bug-eyed and they look like they just need to murder something.
We just actually haven't been looking close enough. You look at a goldfish and it has absolute joy radiating out of its eyes. Just like a Christmas morning fish.
Yeah. Joy radiating out of its eyes.
Secret goldfish? What is it?
Yeah.
I got nothing in my noggin.
Yeah, nothing. Because it forgets everything, apparently. Good grief. So anyway, it definitely doesn't have short term. Scientific research, and I'm not saying like this isn't new information. We've known and we've done research on goldfish for 60 plus years. So it's not like the chameleon, like, oh, hey, we just figured this out 8 years ago. No, this is 60 years we've known that goldfish don't have this short-term memory.
We've just been bashing on goldfish for
this
forever.
This whole time. A lot of people also don't know this, that naturally they're normally from East Asia, China, Japan. But because their adaptability and interesting colors, they've contributed to their popularity as pets all around the world. And because how easy they are to keep in captivity, they've often been used, again, for 60 plus years as the research participants for the fish brain spokesperson or spokesfish for all fishes. Because they're easy to keep, they are pretty hardy. And because it's not a short-term memory, anytime anybody needs to do research on fish memory, they just use a goldfish. Too, like a goldfish, if it's properly cared for, it can live for 15 plus years.
Yeah, I knew somebody that got carnival goldfish that got huge. Mine died within a week.
Sounds about right.
I did my best. It was probably already sick.
It's a fish. No, I was going to say it's a fish. They again, I feel like it's the same thing with a bird. They either live or die. They just hope for the best. So we'll talk about a few different aspects about how and why we know goldfish do not have short memories. Recent scientific studies have revealed that goldfish possess cognitive abilities that extend well beyond a short-term memory. Research have shown that fish exhibit learning behaviors, including habituation and classical conditioning.
The fish at work, they're not goldfish, but the fish at work definitely I've conditioned for food.
Oh my goodness, yeah. You go to like any...
I just have to tap on the top and
Yeah, all to the top. Yeah, and that's no. Yeah,
like
that's clearly not short-term memory. You
no,
know what
they
I mean?
remember
Like
from
they know.
3 because I don't feed him even every day.
Yeah,
Like they at least remember 2 days.
Yeah, at least 2 days long. Not 10 seconds.
It wouldn't make any sense evolutionarily for anything to have a short-term memory like that.
Yeah, not
they would
like
all be dead.
And they would be. And then 2, I don't know. What class was it in college? We trained fish.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
so
we did the beta stuff too.
Yeah,
like we like presented and they displayed. I remember.
Yeah, poor betas.
Yeah,
goldfish can be trained to respond to cues, like giving it a cue to go someplace, which further underscores their ability. Target training, which just further underscores their ability to retain and recall information. Because again, they wouldn't be able to cue if they had a 10-second memory. Because every time it'd be like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? Oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? It would have no idea. Now, going back to the research part of it, they started studying spatial awareness and navigation. So goldfish have also been able to demonstrate remarkable spatial awareness and navigational skills. And research has shown their ability to remember and navigate mazes, a task that requires memory retention. I probably couldn't find my way out of a maze. Like I've been to corn mazes, but it's always because you're
with a group.
Yeah, you're with a group, but I can always remember, okay, it's that direction is where we need to keep going. But that's it. Other than that, my memory sucks. Thank you, ADHD. I have horrible memory.
I can never remember where I put things.
So some of this research that happened was a team at Oxford University trained 9 fish to travel about 2.3 feet and back, receiving food as a reward at the end. Researchers said that it showed the fish could accurately estimate distance. So the university's Department of Biology, their scientists, wanted to find out if fish have ways of navigating similar to land-based animals. They used a narrow tank covered with repeating pattern of vertical stripes every 2 centimeters. On reaching the set distance that they determined, the fish were prompted by an external cue, such as a researcher waving their hand to turn around to swim back to the start position. Right? This is really... Yeah.
To the fish.
The other way.
You're going the wrong way.
Again, this is like one of the very first episodes we did when I talked about the seagull research that somebody got paid to do this. Can you imagine? We got paid to just tell goldfish to go the other way.
Semaphore to fish. Yeah.
Just go the other way. So the research then tested if the fish would swim the same distance if the starting position was changed and the cue was removed. And then they tested that if goldfish would swim the same distance when the background pattern was altered. They found that 8 of the 9 fish could accurately remember when to turn around to receive their food.
That's wild.
So we got 8 of them, and then 1 probably just
ADHD fish.
Yeah, ADHD fish is just happy to be alive, just trying its hardest, but really just getting distracted because, like me, I can't remember anything. And so again, the perception of the short-term memory myth, it does misrepresent poor goldfish, but it also underestimates their cognitive potential because they are pretty darn smart. And so
you can actually buy a training set for goldfish where it comes with a little hoop.
Yeah, and you can make them go through
train
hoops.
them to jump through a hoop.
Right? And so because the misconception of that they do have a short-term memory, oftentimes people just put them in a bowl and just kind of set away and forget about it. No, they're actually kind of smart, and they like
something to do.
Yeah, they need stuff to do as well. So
poor little fish.
Right? Yep. So
where did it come from? The misconception? Do we know?
They have no idea because we've been studying it for so long. We know that they don't have short-term memory. Everybody's like, where the heck did this start? Because this is, again, it's not like something that we recently discovered. We've known that they don't have it. It sounds
like a weird fact that scientists told everybody, and then everyone was like, okay.
Yeah, no. But I mean, again, it was on Ted Lasso. Like, that's a super popular show. And I have a water bottle from Ted Lasso that's on it. And I only have it because the fish has a mustache and I really think it's funny. But it says be a goldfish. And that's the whole principle is just like brush it off your shoulder. You play bad, you know, just brush it off, move on, carry on, be a goldfish. Good philosophy. Pick the wrong animal.
Yeah.
So anyway, so goldfish, long-term memory, not so short.
Not so short.
Yeah. Alrighty. Man, there was a lot packed in that episode besides misconceptions.
Yeah. I saw like almost half not misconceptions. No,
right.
Like a third.
Right. Like a third. All right, guys. Well, if you go over, again, check out thenaturepodcast.com. That's just our page, and they'll have the merch on there. We're going to be adding more to that. And then if you don't go there, make sure you check us out on Patreon or connect with us on Twitter and reach out to us and just chat. I mean, be a goldfish. Remember, because goldfish remember.
All right, cool, guys. Well, hopefully you learned a little bit more, which is going to help you to be more curious and want to learn more, and that you'll tune in next time.
All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye.